Okay, so I was going to type out how crazy my day was, but I started typing it and it came out to like 5 text messages, and that was only like a part of the story. So I was just going to make a video. Started off, I made potato salad for this barbecue. So we were bringing things for like a potluck to this barbecue after school, and I was making potato salad. So I made potatoes last night and they came out like completely just overcooked. They just fell apart. And so I made another batch and they came out undercooked. So they were really like crunchy and gross. But I didn't have enough potatoes and I didn't want to like go to the store and get another bag. So I just used the undercooked potatoes and it looked not fun at all. But so I made the potato salad anyways, and Grandma was nice enough to box it all up with a towel and a cardboard box and a bunch of ice packs and stuff. So I had this box that was like that big, and I was like, okay, well, I'm gonna drive to the Max station and um, hop on the train and take it downtown to whatever the plan was. And I got in the car, and as I was backing it out of the driveway, it decided to start shaking violently, which scared me like a lot because I thought it was gonna blow up. But I was like, I don't know what's going on, and Grandma heard it from inside the house, and so she came out to see what the problem was, and we like barely managed to pull it back into the driveway. And I was like, well, I kind of gotta go because I'm already running late, and so I walked like a mile and a half to the station, carrying this like box of it was like probably 5 or 6 pounds, but I mean it gets heavy once you're carrying it for like like this for like a mile and a half. So I get up to the train station and I bought my ticket and I took the train and I was fine. And but I showed up late. I was supposed to be there like 2:45 and I got there like 3:30, I think. I was like, "Oh my God." Or almost 3:30. But and so I met up with everybody and um we there was a couple people that didn't go, so we had just enough people to take the 2 cars instead of just like a one car and then a train. And so we all packed in a car. 4 of us went in Peyton's Bug, and it was absolutely tiny. And me and Cody are both, big guys. And so we gave Ryan the front seat because he's like the size of me and Cody. And and we hopped in the back seat, and we were like all scrunched and stuff. And it wasn't so bad once we got comfortable, but we got in there, we're like, oh my God, we're gonna die. And like every bump, we're like hitting our heads on the thing, and it was pretty funny. But we drove all the way out to Clackamas Town Center, and we had trouble finding Mary actually, because she was going to be waiting for us at the train station. But then we're like, well, we're not going to take the train, so we have to go pick her up. So we went and found her, and then went back to Peyton's house, and we had a wonderful barbecue with all kinds of people, and we had a good time, and we're chatting for hours. And then my grandma called me at about 9:40, and she's like, "Oh, are you coming home soon?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm leaving right now." And so I was like, "We need to go because it's going to be late by the time we get back." And so we're like, "Okay, we'll just one more video because we were watching YouTube videos." And so we watched one more video and then we left just before 10. And so we got back to the train station and Peyton and Mary dropped us off at right about at 10. And then um, we walked up and got our tickets at 10:18 because Cody's ticket said 10:18, and so we hopped on we walked up to the train platform and we were gonna get on the train, but there was no train there. And we're like, okay, and so we checked the sign thing and it said that there was another. It was gonna be the next Green Line train was gonna be there at or in 23 minutes. So we're like, okay, 23 minutes, that's plenty of time. And so we just tossed our stuff down and oh, I was carrying leftover potato salad in one bag and another bag that had hot dogs and hot dog buns. So I had two grocery bags full of like food, and so I set my grocery bags down, and Cody decided he had to go throw something away, I think. And I was like, "Are you going to the bathroom?" You know, because I yelled it to him because he was across the way, and he's like, "No, but I think I gotta pee. So if you want to come find one," I was like, "All right, I'll go look for one with you." And so we ran across the station and went down the stairs, and this place was like huge, and so we were like trying to figure out where the bathroom was. We heard from the top of the platform, Ryan's like, "Dude, the train!" And we're like, "Oh crap!" And so I like took off running, and Cody said that by the time he had turned around, I was already back to the stairs and like halfway up them because I like took off sprinting. I was like, "I'm gonna get there," and so I like ran up, and the train was already pulled into the station, so it must have left like right after we walked off. But I we made it back on the train, and it was like 3 minutes after we got there, and still hadn't used the restroom. But we got there and we're like, okay, cool. We're on the train, good to go. And then the operator walks out and he like gets off the train. We're like, okay. And then we sat there for like 20 minutes. We're like, is this train just like not leaving? And then this other train pulled up across the way, and it's like, if that train starts to move, I'm gonna go get on it, you know. But it took off the other direction. It was gonna park for the night or something. But by this time it was like almost 11. It was like 10:40, I think, when the train finally took off. Um, and that ride was really nice. It was just the three of us hanging out. Yeah, me and Cody and Ryan, and it was just the three of us sitting there chatting. And then at one of the stops, these two girls and this guy got on, and they were really trendy. They were all like wearing fancy clothes and prim and proper, you know. And then we started talking about food, and they're like, "Dude, you're making us so hungry." And so then we were just chatting about all kinds of stuff for like two stops, I think. And then we got off at the Gateway Transit Center, and we're standing there talking and stuff. And this train pulled up, and I was like, "Dude, I don't know if you noticed, but every single person on that first car was black." And they're like, "Yeah, dude, that's how Gresham works." And I was like, "Oh, I didn't know that." Not that it matters, but I was like, "Oh, that's an observation, you know." And then and then the second train pulled up, the second car of the train pulled up, and there was all kinds of like TriMet security people on there, and we're like, oh man, that's like scary. Or I was like, no, that makes me feel comfortable because then if something goes down, you know, they're gonna be there. And so like the doors open and we go to get on the train, and we hear like screaming and yelling. And we're like, oh my god, we're gonna die. And there was this black girl down the train, and they like had her handcuffed, and there was like two guys like picking her up to go walk her to the cop car because they were arresting her, I guess, for something. And then like everyone else on the train, I mean, all of that section of the train was like yelling and screaming and like cussing and stuff, and we're like, we got on the wrong train. But it was the only westbound blue line train from where we were. So we sat down and we like put in our headphones, and we're like, okay, none of that. And the couple that me and Ryan were sitting across from were actually really nice, and we chatted with them for a few minutes once everything got settled down and all the weird people got off the train. But we rode that all the way into um, Beaverton Transit Center. Um, and just before that, I asked Cody, I was like, well, how are you planning on getting home? And he's like, well, you know, usually I just walk home from the station, but he's like, you know, I actually have a ticket today, like an extended ticket or something. And so he's like, I could actually take the bus better. And so I was like, I'll just take the bus. And then I asked Cody, I was like, well, what bus are you taking? And he's like, well, the 57. I was like, that's the one I'm taking too. And so as we're pulling into the Beaverton Transit Center, I look over at the buses, and the 57 is parked there. I'm like, dude, we're gonna have to run. And so he's like, again? I was like, yeah, dude, again. He's like, I shouldn't have eaten so much at the barbecue. I was like, right? Well, actually, I didn't eat all that much, but he ate like everything. And so he's like, I gotta have to run again, and we're like, yeah. And so we said see you to Ryan, and we like took off running. Like both of us are carrying like grocery bags full of like leftovers. And so we took off, and we're like running and running, running, and we get to the bus, and like the bus driver's not there, but the bus was all open and stuff, and there were like people in there already. And so we like walked in and we sat down and everything. We're like, okay, that'll work. Um, and then like this guy walked on and he had like a 36 pack of like like Budweiser. And then like the end was open and it was like full of cans and we're like, dude, really? I was like, you have like so much beer. And then he had one open in his hand. He's like, and we're like, who the hell are you? And anyways, he got on and he walked to the back of the bus and he sat down and he was all joking with a bunch of the other guys on there because he had beer. He was popular. And we're like, okay, whatever. And then this other guy walked on and um, he was like completely bald and he had like big old earrings and his beard came down to like here and and he had a cane and he was all like looking all hardcore and stuff and he sat across from us and we're like okay because every time I get on the bus it just scares the hell out of me. We were sitting there and we were just sitting there waiting and apparently Cody's stop was like 4 stops down the line so he got off in like 5 minutes after we got on the bus. I got to talking to the guy across from me and he was coming from a Narcotics Anonymous meeting down in downtown Portland, and he lived in Cornelius, and so, but he was actually like really really nice, and I didn't judge him beforehand. I was like, he looks pretty hardcore, but that was it. And then he turned out to be a really nice guy, so I had a good time talking with him and stuff. But I mean, it would only made sense, riding the public transit bus after midnight, when I sit across from a Narcotics Anonymous guy. I'm like, oh, fantastic. But he was actually really nice, so I was like, oh, fantastic, that works for the story. But I rode up to the train station and I mean to the bus station and I got off and there was oh but this other guy like missed his train but this missed his bus stop but the guy that had the beer was getting off at the same stop and I was just sitting there looking around the bus and like trying to pay attention or trying to not pay attention to anything and like just looking around and I like looked towards the back of the bus and the guy with the beer was standing there and he's like what do you think you're staring at like towards me and I was like pretending like I didn't hear him and not notice and everything. And then he got off the bus, and I was like, "Oh my god, I was gonna die," because he like looked straight at me and like yelled at me, and everyone on the bus got real quiet. And then he left, and then the bus doors closed, and the bus took off, and I was like, "Thank you, Jesus," because I was gonna die. And so, um, the bus got to my stop, and I was like, "Oh, okay, we'll see you later," to the NA guy. And I walked off the bus and there was not a single soul around. The entire parking lot was empty. The street lights were all flickery and stuff. I was like, oh my god. And so I like walked across the parking lot and I have to walk past Bimart. And so there's like this hedging bush thing where if I was gonna mug someone, I would totally hide in those bushes and just jump out and like you know. So I was like, I am not walking by those bushes. So I walked like in the bike lane in the middle of the road. I was like, no. I was like, there's streetlights over here. There's not streetlights over there. So I walked like down that way. And then, of course, the streetlight on the end of our street is out and has been since I moved here. Hurrying while carrying all these grocery bags. And I got back home and I'm now it's starting to sink in how absolutely crazy my day was. So there was lots of talk of, oh, and also at the barbecue, we were talking about like crazy people we met on the train and bus and stuff. So I was like freaked out already. And so when we got on the train and there was like all kinds of cops everywhere, I was like somebody's gonna get arrested, somebody's gonna die, something. But I'm fine. I mean, I'm safe and all that. I had some good times with some good friends and just relaxing at home now and I'm going to go to bed as soon as possible because I'm tired. Oh, and my alarm went off this morning. I we had the whole day off from school, and instead of me turning my alarm off like a smart person, it went off at 7:30. So it was all rap rap in my ear, and I'm like, oh, wonderful, yeah, because I could have slept in for another 2 or 3 hours. Great. So I woke up early, and then all that crazy stuff happened after that. But yeah. Hope you guys enjoyed my little story, and I will talk to you later. See ya.